Hello, so today we're going to look at creating a home space and user interface. A home space is sort of like a lobby. It's an entry point to the rest of your VR experience. Many of the home spaces don't have any locomotion, so all it is head tracking and hand tracking or controller tracking. They need to be a little bit different from the main environment, and they should allude to the main environment. So your home space is going to look different from mine. They can range from a very simple environment to more complex. You could have an immersive like 360 image or video playing if you want, a 3D environment. It's sort of up to you how you want to design this space. Another suggestion is to give it some contrast between this lobby and your main environment. So if your main environment is a forest, for example, and then your home space looks identical to it or very similar, it's going to be confusing for the user. They're going to think that they can maybe move around in that area, and they're going to think that it might be the same place when really it's not. So you just want to give it some element of contrast. We're also going to look at different styles of user interfaces. So first we'll start with just creating a 2D interface that you can use Ray Interactor to interact with. And then we will move on to creating a 3D interface, which is a little bit better for a VR environment or more immersive and more fun. And when we make that, we will use a poke interactor. So we'll look at how to actually poke a button there. So I'm in my demo project and I need to create another scene. So I'm going to go into my scenes folder. I'm going to right click and create new scene. Call it home space. Double click. Get rid of that main camera because we're gonna use our XR origin. So I just want that main camera rig here and interactions rig. And I'll also add in controller tracking. I'm gonna add in hand tracking. I should be able to move my head and interact with my hands and or my controllers. Looks like fix came up, so I'm gonna press fix. Some recommended fixes, so I'm gonna come to project setup tool here. Just see what the fixes are, apply all. My scene will just depend on my project's concept here. I've been wanting to play around with terrain in Unity for a little while. The problem with that, if you use too much terrain, the poly count's going to be high and you need to just be careful with VR because it might cause your experience to run slow. So I say this with caution. If you're using terrain and your headset's running slow, you might have to do some tweaking there. I'm going to link below the video series that I watched to learn how to play with terrain, but this is going to be a time lapse of me just giving myself an environment to live inside of. Okay, that was my attempt to make a home space as quickly as physically possible for this demo. So I hope you enjoyed that. As you finish up with one thing, it is always wise to pull up your GitHub and push the change. All right, next up we have to make the UI. So right click in hierarchy and create empty. Call it user interfaces or interface. Right click that and go to UI, canvas, and then it will add an event system here as well. On canvas, in the inspector, under render mode here, or next to render mode, change it from screen space to world space. This is going to allow us to interact using a Ray Interactor and interact in VR. Right click the canvas and add a panel. So UI panel. And you can see the canvas is really big, so we have to scale that canvas down. Go ahead and move the canvas in front of your camera rig. And let's check to see that it's not too huge in game. It is pretty big, so we have to scale it down further. Okay, so that's a pretty good size, I think. So now we can add other things to this canvas. We could retitle our panel to be background panel. And on canvas, right click and add in, for UI, add in a second panel called screen. And scale it down. And then right click canvas and go ahead and add a UI element button, Text Mesh Pro. It looks backwards. Well, I'm thinking that I might need to turn the entire canvas around. I've got my button here and I'm gonna resize it and change the color. You could organize your content by panels and buttons if you want. So here I've got a background panel and a screen. And actually, this is gonna be my about screen. So I'm gonna title it about screen and I'm gonna copy and paste. And the second one will be my controls screen, because I wanna tell people about the experience that they're entering into. And I want them to have the knowledge of like what controls they need to use in order to move around and interact with things. So make sure that you use icons or visualizations for the controls screen. You don't just like use text to tell them, but actually like put pictures and call outs of your controllers, or maybe like hand animations or icons of hands would help. So for my all my panels, I'm gonna just highlight them, right click and create empty parent and title it panels. And then for the button, this is my about button. So you can click on your button and it's got a little text object here, and under Text Mesh Pro, you can change whatever you want it to say. So I'm going to put about, and you can stylize it and customize it by changing the font. Ideally, you would import your own font, but you can just, for now, just change it up to whatever Unity already has. And I'm going to go to my about button, and I'm going to copy that and paste so that I have 3 buttons. My second one will be titled Controls button. and I need to change the text to controls. And then my third one will be my enter button. So whenever I press on this one, we'll enter into the main scene. So we'll do a scene transition. Cool, and so gotta change the text here to say enter. And then go ahead and reposition them. And then for my buttons, I'm gonna highlight them, right click, create empty parent, and say buttons. So I'm a little bit organized here. So I've got my panels and my buttons. For the panel, so we've got that background panel and we've got this about screen, and I want to change the color of the about screen and the controls screen so I can actually like see the change. So I'm just going to change that to something slightly different, a different color. There we go. And this is about as minimal as I can possibly imagine our UI. So for your project, you would work much more, you'd like create designs by drawing them out and sketching first, and figure out what you want in your menu and what makes sense for your experience. So it shouldn't look like this when you finalize your projects. But for now, it's okay. We've got the design, now we have to interact. So we are going to add a Ray interactor. It projects from your hand or controller, and it's used to interact with objects that are far away. So this is going to be useful to interact with our screen here because we don't have locomotion. Go to Canvas and right click, and it's super easy with the Meta SDK. You can just go to Interaction SDK, and over here add in Ray Interactor to Canvas. Click on that. The wizard is going to pop up and it says no pointable canvas module found in scene. So you have to have this for the Ray interactor to work. You have to have the pointable canvas module. So you're going to press fix, create, and then it gives you this Ray canvas interaction game object here. And if you toggle that down, it also has a surface that you can see here. The main object, if you come here, you can see the Ray interactable script and pointable canvas script are included on it. And then this surface has a bunch of like plane surface, clip plane surface, bounce clipper. So we're gonna come back to this in the next tutorial. But now you should, whenever you press play, we should see a dot appear whenever we wave our hand at our user interface. So let's go ahead and make sure that that is functioning. You can see this dot. You can't see that whenever I pinch my fingers together. It's getting a little bit darker, so it is reading my interaction with it. It's just not doing anything right now. So we want it to actually do something. So go to the controls screen and check that off so that we're only looking at our about screen. That's the first screen that I want displayed when I enter into my home space. So whenever I press my about button, I want my about screen to show. Whenever I press controls screen should show, and then whenever I press enter, I want to do scene transition into main environment. So on my buttons here, I'm going to go to about and scroll down in the inspector to on click here. I'm going to add something here, and the object that I want to show whenever I click this button is my about screen. So I'm going to take my about screen, I'm going to drag it into this empty space and toggle this down, go to game object, click set active, and check this box right here. So what this is doing is it is checking on this game object whenever I click on the button. So here, control screen, we have inactive here. And so whenever I click on my controls button, I want to activate it. So go to controls button, and similarly, we'll just add this and then drag in controls screen. Here we'll go to game object and set active, and then check that on. So the thing about this is that we also have to check off the about screen here. So let's go ahead and add another on click. And at the same time as we are turning the control screen on, we are also turning the about screen off. So drag in about, game object, set active, and then toggle that off. So we're all good there. And same for about. So we have to go to our about button, on click, we're turning the about screen on, and then we have to turn off the controls screen. So double check that when you are on your about button, on click, you are both turning on the about screen and turning off the control screen. On your controls button, hey baby, you are turning on the control screen and off the about screen. So just double check that you have both of those things. And then go and test the interaction. All right, so let's see. Whenever I'm on about, I click and we already see the blue screen, and then on controls and it turns purple. A better experience for our user, we want to change the color on hover of our button. Go to your about button. Here you can see many things are happening. Highlighted color is if you're hovering over it, it'll change colors. So let's just go ahead and I'm just gonna pick a random color here. Highlighted color, and then you can do pressed color, so like when it's pressed, and then also selected when it's selected. So for now, I'm just gonna do highlighted to see that I'm hovering over it. And then maybe I will go ahead and do a pressed color, and it'll be like a dark green. And just do the same for the other button. If you want it to be it should probably be the same color. So I'm just gonna copy the hexadecimal code. Cool, so we'll verify that that works in a second. But lastly, let's go ahead and make sure our enter button works. On this GitHub page here, go to simple scene transition. This is different from grab scene transition. It's just a very simple script that tells Unity what scene to go to whenever we call this script. So go ahead and copy that, and this is linked down below. In your scripts folder, right click and create new C# script. Call it simple scene transition. Make sure the spelling is the same as what I have. And then double click that to open it up and paste in that script. Here I'm calling it main scene transition. Make sure you change this to match whatever you've titled it over here. So I call it simple scene transition, so I'm just going to change this from main to simple. And then save it and exit out. Cool. And on my enter button here, go ahead and add the simple scene script to your enter button here. And then in scene name, whatever scene you want to transition to, I'm gonna go to VR world. So make sure you type it out the exact same way that it's written over here. Capitalization, same spacing, all of it. So otherwise it won't work. So VR world, cool. And then now you have to do on click, add, and drag in that script here to this empty space. And then now when you toggle that down, you're gonna see simple scene transition and go to load scene. So now let's test to see that our button color changes and that we are actually transitioning into a different scene. So it does work, but I don't think I love the way it actually looks. So I'll have to tweak some things around, but it is working. Okay, so let's check enter. voila! So we have transitioned into this other scene with my my sculpture here. The next video, I'm gonna show off using a 3D UI design, which is actually kind of optimal for a VR environment or AR, because we want to move away from the boring 2D surfaces and explore 3D surfaces. Let me know if you have any questions, and good luck.